Welcome to another episode of Her Expat Life. We are the YouTube channel that is dedicated to bringing female entrepreneurs and digital nomads all the information that they need to advance their global lifestyle. And today we have a very interesting topic for you. We're going to discuss the digital nomad visa for Malta, why Malta is a good destination, all the information you need on how to apply, and basically what a digital nomad can expect from this Mediterranean island. Just a reminder to those watching at home, if you are a female entrepreneur or digital nomad or expat who hasn't yet signed up for our membership program, please visit herexpatlife.com and sign up to get discounts from all of our partners and members internationally, from co-working and co-living spaces to legal advice, to yoga studios, whatever you can imagine. We have partners lined up globally. And today we actually have one of our partners with us. We have Matt, who is a co-founder of Evolve Coliving in Malta, who's going to talk to us about why Malta is a good destination and all the things we need to consider when applying for the visa. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
No worries. I'm very good. Thank you. Good to be here.
Good. We're happy to have you. Before we get into the nitty gritty, Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about your personal journey, how you ended up in Malta, and a little bit about Evolve Coliving?
So, I'll start back because we've been Evolve Co-living for about 3 years. But actually, it was myself, my business partner, that probably started the whole co-living journey about 6 years ago. And that was actually out in Vancouver in Canada. So we've been doing this. We've had 6 houses now over 2 countries over 6 years. And Evolve Co-living is like the accumulation of everything that we've learned. And it's our biggest, nicest property to date. And yeah, so 16 bedrooms here in Malta, community for 25 to 45-year-old digital nomads, remote workers and entrepreneurs. But the co-living concept, it's called co-living now, but we've been doing this for a while. In Vancouver, it was called a collective. But, myself, I've been traveling for about 10 years, ever since my early 20s. I thought that I would go to Thailand when I was 18 for a month and get it out of my system. But, that turned out not to be true, as I think many other people have found out. Once you kind of dip your toe into this lifestyle, you get sucked in, and it's very addictive and just very enjoyable, and it opens a lot of doors. But one of the things that I found as I was growing older but still enjoying traveling, I was too old for hostels. I was a little bit tired of just going in, meeting new people. You're there for 2 days, a week, 3 weeks, but essentially it's a bit more of a revolving door of people. And also with a job and a career, I wanted a place where I could focus and work, and that can be quite hard to do in hostels and short-term accommodation like that. Of course, you have Airbnbs or hotels, but then that comes with the thing where it lacks the community. So you lack that social aspect. And so that's why we started doing what's known as co-living and Evolve Co-living today. And you have, it's an environment for people who are a little bit older. Most of our clients are in their 30s now, but they're professional. We have co-work, we have really good Wi-Fi, all private rooms, and people stay for a minimum of 1 month. And this gives people the chance not just to form meaningful connections, but we do a lot of the marketing, and we filter the people that come in and make sure that they know what the experience is about. And then we make sure that there's nice locations in the house and nice environment to be productive, to work, good Wi-Fi, and everything like that. So, it's really, it's a product of experience, and something that myself and my partner Ola really wanted and we're really looking for as we came into our 30s, and continue to want to travel and meet new people. And I see it's trending a lot, and now there's different co-livings popping up all over the world, which is fantastic. If you can jump from one co-living to another, what you'll start to find is you'll meet the people that you stayed with in Malta, and you'll meet them out in Mexico, then you'll meet them in Lisbon, and it starts to form more of a worldwide community of people that have actually spent a significant amount of time with each other.
Amazing. I'm definitely agreeing with everything you're saying as someone who's in my 30s. the hostel days, I
Yes.
think, are behind me.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes, hard to get stuff done
Yeah.
in the hostel. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Matt, let's talk about Malta as a destination. So why is Malta a good choice for a digital nomad?
Sure. I mean, to start with the digital nomad visa, now that was introduced in 2021. So actually, and we've been writing articles on different digital nomad visas, and I've come to learn that Malta is actually a relatively inexpensive and easy application. So once you go through that, you have access to Malta. So just having that here makes Malta a good option for digital nomads to come into with the ease of it. Apart from that, I'm obviously a bit biased, but I'd say Evolve. We have the community of digital nomads ready and waiting. And in addition to Evolve, we've got Coco Hub on the island as well, which are a very nice digital nomad community. They're about 16,000 strong online. And they host events here on the island as well. Coco talks, and they cover like a variety of topics. So this is really nice to meet people outside of Evolve in Malta as well. Malta itself has always been quite a cultural melting pot of people. It's been very expat friendly. It's, you've got 300 days of sun. It's English speaking. There's nice tax benefits here. So there's a nice history and culture, including the locations. Like you've got Valletta, which is the cultural capital, and then Medina, which is the original capital of Malta. But apart from that, you've got nice beaches, fantastic weather. It's one of the best diving spots in the world, actually, for all the shipwrecks from World War II. So this is very nice. And yeah, like to be honest, a small island nation. So you've got lots of nice beach bars, live music, and it's very open. You go down the beach, and the bars are more Thailand style, open sides, live music. You can sit out on the rocks with a barbecue, or sit in the restaurant as well. It's up to you. But it's a really nice vibe, and the locals are very warm and welcoming as well, actually, to digital nomads and expats in general.
And let's talk a little bit about the cost of living. So, what would be an estimated overall cost of living for a digital nomad, considering housing, transport, daily expenses? What can people expect?
Yeah, I mean this is this is a tough one, to be honest with you, because it's obviously dependent on your lifestyle. I would say you could live comfortably on about 2,000.
Mhm.
So this, and I'm assuming you're going to want somewhere relatively central, not too far away, kind of max 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes outside the center, like walking, that is. So maybe a 5-minute taxi at the max. But, rent for a nice, acceptable place in a central location can be between 1,000 to 1,500. If you want to do it on the cheap, you can definitely find rooms for about 600, but you're going to get a small, not the nicest room in a shared house. So you can do it a little bit cheaper. If you want to live here, or sorry, if you're living here for the month or something like that, and you're looking at groceries, in my experience, about 400 a month for groceries. And this is, it's eating some good food, good, healthy, organic food. You can survive on less and you can spend more, but 400 is a nice estimate for a good diet. And I'd say a meal out is around 20, 25, depending how much you want to do this. So I'd say about 2,000 you can live comfortably. 2,500 gives you a little bit extra cushion for more activities, nights out, meals out, maybe a little bit nicer accommodation. But yeah, I'd say this is a good estimate.
Okay, perfect. Who is eligible for the digital nomad visa?
So the digital nomad visa is designed for third country nationals. There's a minimum income of 2,700 as well, and the income source has to be from outside Malta. So these are the three main requirements for the digital nomad visa, and this is who it's designed for.
What are the key benefits of obtaining the digital nomad visa?
So of course, access to Malta, a small Mediterranean island. It's depending. It's a Mediterranean vibe, so it's a much more relaxed lifestyle. It's slow. This is beautiful, but you also get travel outside of Malta, so in other EU countries and in the Schengen areas, for 180 days a year. And that's actually broken down into a maximum of 90 days every 180. So you get to explore outside of Malta as well. You also get no double taxation. So I know some countries, when you go there, you get taxed on your kind of your country of residence, but then also the country you're staying in. And so Malta has tax laws in place, or they're pending, but it's currently accepted that there's no double taxation in Malta. So this is a nice benefit of that as well. And then, of course, the digital nomad communities that are already here as well. So there's already a scene for digital nomads, which you get access to.
Perfect. Are there any restrictions on the type of work or business activities that a digital nomad can engage in while on the visa?
There's not a restriction in the type of activities per se, only that the income should be from outside of Malta. So, for example, you can't work inside, you can't get your main source of income from inside Malta. This would be the main restriction.
Okay, great. Can you talk us through the process a little bit of the application process, and what documents people would need to start the process?
Sure. So in the research that we were doing, I was in contact with the Residency Malta agency, which is the department that deals with the digital nomad visa, looking through all of their documentation as well, and speaking to people who have been through it. And we found the best way to break it down was into 3 different parts. So the first part is your approval in principle. The second part is your final approval. And then the third part is when you arrive and you do your biometrics and you get your residency card. So for the approval in principle, this requires the most documents, and that can be broken down again. So everyone would need to submit a valid passport, a letter of intent, bank statements, which like the last 3 months of income to prove your minimum income, a CV, and then you've got 3 application forms, N1A, 2 application forms, N1A and N1B. And then depending on your employment, whether you are employed in a company, you have your own company outside Malta, or you're working freelance, then you would need proof of that employment status to be able to apply as well. Okay, because then you jump into like the circumstantial documents. So, for example, there's application for M2, which you need to complete and sign if you're bringing dependents. There's the form N3, which you complete and sign for changes to the application. So if you're bringing a spouse with you, then there's a marriage certificate that you need to submit. If it's going to be someone that, your de facto partnership, you need evidence of that. So that could be couples that are together for more than 2 years, basically. So maybe shared bills, joint accounts, photos, stuff like that. You need a birth certificate for each child accompanying the main applicant. You might, if you've changed your name, you might need to provide any documentation of this. There's also an affidavit of dependency needed for dependents over 18. You need custody and guardianship evidence, which will be for minors. And you also need representative declaration, which is a signed declaration if you're using a representative for the application. So this is everything that you need for stage 1, including the documents that you might need in specific circumstances.
Okay, so you mentioned a little bit about bringing family members with you. Is there a limitation as to how many people can come with you on this visa?
I don't think that there's a limitation as long as you can provide the correct paperwork, but that's actually something I'm not 100% sure about.
Okay, perfect. And how long does this process normally take, the initial stage?
So once you have to get all this documentation together. So this is obviously dependent on what documentation and how long you take to do it. But once you submit this documentation, then you will receive your approval in principle within 30 days of
Wow.
submission. Actually, once you submit it, you'll receive a request for the fee for the digital nomad visa, and it's
Yeah.
30 days from receiving the fee that you can move to the next stage if everything's successful, and you'll be granted your approval in principle.
Okay, great. That's quite a quick process, yeah?
They're actually pretty good. We're in contact with the team quite a lot there because we have people come through, they're applying to Evolve. And actually, in the next stage for the final approval, you need a lease for a year for your accommodation in Malta. So we work with the digital nomad visa team here in Malta quite a lot. And they're very efficient. They're quite good, and they make it very easy as well.
That's amazing. I think you did mention this, but can we just cover this again because it's quite important?
Sure.
What is the specific minimum income or financial requirement for applicants?
Sure. So it's 2,700 euros per month from an income source that's outside of Malta, and that's very important as well.
And then where can someone apply for the digital nomad visa?
So this is actually very nice. I've seen other visas, you have to come to the country first to apply, but Malta has everything's online, and there is the email nomad.residencymalta@gov.mt, and this is where you submit all of your application, both for the approval in principle, and then once you've had those documents approved, you have another 30 days to submit the documents that you need for the final approval. And you can do both of those submissions at that email address.
And what is the duration of this visa? And is it possible to renew or extend it?
Yes, so the duration, once you've got the final approval and you've been here, and the documents for the final approval, by the way, are proof of accommodation for 1 year, health insurance for 1 year, and fully comprehensive travel insurance for 1 year. Once you've submitted all of these, then you can usually they approve it on the same day. Again, they're very fast, very efficient with this. And from the approval, the final approval, you have 90 days to come to Malta and schedule your biometrics appointment. And then it's 2 to 3 weeks from that biometrics appointment that you'll receive your residency card. And so from then you have 1 year initially on the digital nomad visa, and then you have the potential of extending for another 2. So you have the potential for 3 years in Malta.
The tax implications for digital nomad visas. So can we just quickly discuss this?
Yeah, so I won't, it gets very complicated when you get into taxes. To keep it very simple at the surface level, you don't get double taxation. So sometimes on the digital nomad visas in various countries, you'll get taxed not only on your country of residence, but you'll get taxed in the country that you're residing in. So you'll get taxed in, if you get a digital nomad visa in another country, you'll get taxed twice. Whereas Malta has laws that exempt that, and so you only get taxed in your country of residence.
If there are any language proficiency requirements. So I don't think in the case of Malta this is necessary, but some countries it is. So are there any language requirements to get the visa?
No, there's no language requirements. It's worth knowing that Malta is an English-speaking country. They do have their own language, Maltese, which has a lot of similarities with Arabic. But for the visa, there's no language proficiency requirements. However, the documentation that you submit does have to be in English. That's worth noting.
Again, you briefly mentioned this, but I think let's just review it again. What are the healthcare and insurance requirements for a digital nomad to get the visa?
Yes, so you just need, basically you need fully comprehensive health insurance for the duration of your stay. So you only need it initially for the first year, but then on renewal, you'll need it again for that full year. So you don't have to get free, even if you intend to come for 3 years, you don't need it for 3 years straight away, just 1 year, then renewal for a year, then renewal for a year after that.
Okay, excellent. What are the potential challenges or issues that a digital nomad may face when applying for or holding this visa?
Honestly, I've I've been through the process with a few people and with the team at the Nomad Residency Malta, and there hasn't been any repeat challenges so far. I would just say it's just in that initial stage, getting the documents done correctly, getting the correct signatures, having them formatted correctly. For example, you have to fill them out. You have to fill them out digitally. So you sign manually in person and scan them in, but you have to type it out, right? And then the signature has to be in blue ink. There's some small tips and tricks that we cover on our landing page for the Digital Nomad Visa Malta as well, which can help you get like a successful submission on that first time. But if all of that goes well, then we haven't really faced any challenges. Again, we're in contact with the team quite regularly, and they're very quick and efficient with the processing, very good with the communication. There's a lot of information online as well. So yeah, I couldn't say anything that stands out right now.
Mm-hmm. Are there any specific accommodation requirements or recommendations for visa holders?
So for the accommodation, you can get initially, if you want to come here for your biometrics for the first month, I believe, you can get a temporary accommodation, which can be at a hotel, a guest house, or an Airbnb, something like that. So something with a tourism license. However, for your 1 year accommodation, you can't stay at a hotel, an Airbnb, or a guest house. You also can't stay on a boat or in a caravan. If that's something that you wanted to do, but it's just worth noting. Other than that, it basically has to be a residential lease for 1 year, and the options, you can stay in shared accommodation, so it can be a room in a shared house, it can be an individual apartment. Is completely up to you.
Okay, excellent. How does Malta ensure compliance with the visa's requirements, such as remote work and income generation?
This is all done initially in the initial submission and then review of the documents. For example, they look at bank statements and make sure that you have the correct employment contracts or certificate of incorporation from overseas. Then, if you want to renew, they review this documentation again at the end of the year. And then this is how they ensure that everything is in line with the visa requirements.
Are there any fees associated with the application or maintenance of this visa?
So the fee for the digital nomad visa is €300. And when you get your residency card, it's 27 euros and 50 cents fee for the residency card. And then you just have to pay that digital nomad visa fee each year as well if you want to renew.
Okay, and then can you provide some more information on the cultural and lifestyle aspects of living as a digital nomad in Malta? So you've touched on the Mediterranean lifestyle, but what can people expect as a digital nomad in this beautiful country?
Sure. Malta's actually, it's a very interesting place because culturally, over the years, they've been taken over by a variety of different countries. So you've got a lot of tastes of like the English, the French, like the Turkish as well. And it makes for it's a very expat friendly scene because of this, especially the English vibes. There's a lot, for example, the English speaking. You're also going to see the English phone boxes over the place, which is a very I like it. It's different. It's different. But then Malta has still that Spanish, that Italian, that Mediterranean lifestyle. It's slower. It's more laid back. You have something called like Mela time. It's kind of a phrase, people are a little bit late for things. They're a little bit slow. When you're queuing up at the local shops getting your groceries, you'll be waiting behind someone that's, they're asking the cashier about their family. So there's that. There's a real, I grew up in London, so there's a real community aspect in comparison to like big cities where it can often feel a little bit isolating. That would be on the cultural side of things, probably the main things that I would mention. Just the relaxed lifestyle, the warmness, friendliness. Obviously with the 300 days of sun, everything moves a little bit slower. And they don't have such a value on efficiency and time, but they have a value on time in a different way, where it's like enjoying the moments and connecting and enjoying community.
Amazing. And then just to give some people a bit of balance, realistically speaking, what are some challenges that people could face being a digital nomad in Malta?
Yeah, so even myself, I do some research on this as I'm writing a little bit more about Malta, and I see the main issues people bring up are when they come, they stay a very short period of time in maybe like St Julian's or Pagefield. So these are like these are a few areas. St Julian's is nice, Pagefield a little bit, but Pagefield would be the party area. So it's important to be aware of where you're staying. If you go to a location and you stay in its party district for 2 or 3 days, you're going to hear drunk people at 2 a.m. You're going to also, if you stay in more of the main areas, you get a lot more construction. So they're building up Malta quite a lot. So there's cranes and construction noise. You also get traffic as well, and it's that more Arabic culture. Like everyone's on their horns beeping. And if I'm honest, the rubbish system as well in Malta could do with some improving. There's quite narrow sidewalks, and the current system means people put their rubbish outside their doors, but on the street. And so, again, if you come outside Malta, you don't. If you come outside the main areas, you don't find this as much. But in the very central areas where space is is of high value, you've got the narrow sidewalks, and you're walking around rubbish, and you're listening to horns beeping, and you've got construction. It's not in all of the main areas, but those kind of like crazy party areas would probably be a place to avoid if you wanted a little bit more peace and quiet. That said, like there's a number of nice locations in Malta where you can stay and you get that relax, you get that peace, that quiet. Valletta's actually very nice. They really take care there, despite it being the capital of Malta. You don't have construction that falls. It's very they keep a nice environment and they maintain that level of calmness. We're like at Evolve Coliving, we're in San Juan, which is about a 15 to 20-minute walk from like a variety of beaches and the main locations. We're also on a private road as well. So I used to live in Siema, which is a very nice location. But it's like when you go from living in London and you move like an hour or 2 out, something like this, and all of a sudden there's an absence of something that you didn't even notice was there initially. And so, we open the windows, there's no car noises going by because we're on that private road. You can hear the birds in the morning, and it's this nice, peaceful element that I really value. So I prefer living here in San Juan. And another place as well that's very nice. Niema's nice. It's kind of in the middle of these kind of very quiet areas like San Juan and Pagefield, but it's still very central. And if you want to go a little bit further afield still, I would recommend somewhere in the three cities. So you've got Burgu, Senglia, and Conspicua. And these are three cities just across the water from Valletta. And they have a very nice, quaint, quiet environment as well. Very traditional.
Valuable insight from someone who has been there for a while and knows the areas to avoid if you're not looking for the party lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, do the research, pick the location, be aware of where you're going into. Yeah, if you want something peaceful and quiet, but you book a 2-night stay in Pagefield in a €700 room, you're not going to get that experience. So just kind of aligning expectations with reality and knowing where to choose can completely change your experience.
Matt, where can people get hold of you? Also, how can people get hold of you for Evolve Co-Living? And can you share the link to the webpage where you have the visa information? Because I found that quite helpful. So how can people get in touch with you?
Yes, so the best way to get in touch is to go onto evolvecoliving.io, and on that page there's an option you can sign up for the 7-day co-live edu. It's like an introduction to co-living. You can also just directly WhatsApp me from a link on that page. or you can fill out a form to apply to come and stay at Evolve, and then I'm on the other side of that on a WhatsApp as well, and I can give you the information there. For the digital nomad visa, it's Evolve Coliving. Forget now, it's digital nomad visa Malta, and that's the link. But I'll share that.
We'll add the link at the bottom of the screen. Don't worry.
I'll share that in the description. I've been doing a lot of writing on the digital nomad visas at the moment, so I forget the exact link, but I'll share it at the bottom.
Thank you so much, Matt. You are an infinite source of wisdom when it comes to all things digital nomad in Malta, and we appreciate you taking the time to chat to us. I hope that everybody at home found this very insightful. And just a reminder for those who are listening to please visit herexpatlife.com and sign up for the membership program to get discounts at different co-living and co-working spaces globally, including Evolve Coliving in Malta. And then just to sign off, great news, Her Expat Life is launching an app specifically designed for females to be able to make the most out of their digital nomad and entrepreneurial lifestyles. So just keep your eyes peeled on our social media pages where we will give you more information. But that is an exciting project that we will be launching soon. And with that, I will say goodbye. And thank you again, Matt, for joining us. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's good. Thanks for having me.
And for those at home, we will see you soon with another informative video.